This is the Bladerunners Systems Barebones. I'm so happy to finally have my hands on one of these knives. I've been really anticipating it for a long time. Just couldn't bring myself to spend the money, or just didn't have the money. Either way you want to look at it. Since getting this knife, I've been very, very pleasantly surprised. There are some bad things, and I'm about to talk about those, but overall, before I go into the full review, I have really been happy with this. Alright, so let's get into the actual review now. So I'm so happy to finally be able to do a review on this knife. Gabe actually had one in the past before we really started this YouTube channel, so we never did a review on it. So I finally bought one for myself. The Barebones. Why am I holding it like that? The Barebones. So like every other review, I'm going to start with the cons because I think it's most important that you know the bad things about a knife. So before I go into the con list, I'm actually going to just run down the specs super fast because I know that is boring to listen to. It's very much like other Bladerunners Systems knives. Its overall length is 10 inches. Its blade length is 4.375 with a cutting edge of 4 inches. The blade thickness is 0.12 inches, 154 cm steel. It's a bayonet grind, stonewash finish. The handles are 5.625 inches and they are made out of stainless steel. That's important. So the stainless steel makes the weight very different from any other BRS knife. It's 5.86 ounces, which if you've been flipping and you have other knives, especially BRS products, you know that almost 6 ounces it's a pretty darn heavy knife. Okay, so cons. The weight, like I said, it's not as bad as you might think because it is very, very well balanced. That's a thing that BRS is known for. It's balanced perfectly for the weight, but it definitely is very heavy, and that definitely takes a lot of getting used to. With it being so heavy and having an insanely sharp blade, it cuts you really, really bad. My finger is bandaged up and it has been bleeding through the band-aid for the past day and a half. So yeah, it's really sharp, and I can throw in a clip of me cutting paper because that's people do that. Oh wow, cut right through it. Whoa, look at it cut that paper. Wow. Okay, anyway, another con. I'm sure you've heard this one if you've read up on the Barebones or looked into it at all. I'm sure you've heard these two. First of which being this nipple on top. Focus. See that nipple on top? The Zen pin nipple? When you buy this, you have to hit it with sandpaper and round it off, which I haven't done yet, but it's not even completely straight like it should be, or slightly rounded like the replicant. It actually kind of comes out like this. It goes up and a little bit out, and it's just like completely sharp on the edges. So this will make you bleed if you just do stuff like this, just like a ricochet on your finger like that. Like even that just pinched me really bad. Look at that. I'm speaking of it pinching me, look. What in the world? I'll be right back. So, if you didn't believe me that nipple is sharp, maybe now you will. And I have blood all over the handles now. Comes off real easy. How much blood am I gonna find on this? So this knife is brutally sharp with the nipple and the blade. If you're not used to using live blades, which I'm guessing a lot of people buying this are coming from a trainer or a cheaper knife that didn't have a sharp edge, this is going to be very intimidating. I have a replicant, and this is definitely sharper than the replicant. So another con with this knife is also something kind of that's just not manufactured enough. But again, it's just cost saving, and that is the spine of the blade is like a Lego block of steel. You see that? Look how thick. I mean, compared to my finger, I don't know, it's really hard to tell, but that is really, really fat. And Oh man. You know, the problem isn't just that it's fat, the problem is that these corners of it are very, very sharp. So when you chaplain on this, it'll stick to your fingers, and not only that, you know, it'll kind of tilt while you're chaplaining and burn, and it'll hurt very badly. Those two things I'm fixing in the next few days. Whenever I go to Gabe's, I'm actually gonna crown the spine completely like the replicant, where this is round all the way up to this little bowie dip. I don't know what to call that. So I'm crowning the spine and rounding off this nipple, and that'll make it a lot more flippable. When he had a bare bones, that's what we did, and he said it made a world of difference. So anyway, the nipple, spine, and weight are the real cons with this knife. I mean, there's some little things that, you know, the corners of the handles and the edges are a little bit rough. There's a lot of things on this knife that could be smoothed out. It's not necessarily something that you need to do, but there are a couple of things that definitely will improve the flipping. Oh my gosh, there's more blood. One last thing on the cons list. Pro number one. This knife is heavy, but the balance is insane. It's balanced perfectly to where, you know, it really does fit like my style of flipping. I know you can't really see what I'm doing down here, but really like momentum based, more horizontal. Are you kidding me? This nipple made me bleed again. Ah, I'm bleeding. I can't tell if it's more blade heavy or handle heavy. It's really, really neutral. And that, I mean, I guess that's what good balance is. But yes, it's extremely neutral and flips really well and does everything pretty easily. The next pro, I think, and this is a big deal for me, a lot of people don't care, but I think this knife looks amazing. I think it's definitely on par with the Replicant and the Alpha Beast, which are my favorite knives ever. I think this is up there with them in looks. Look at her. Her name's Barbara. So, the looks are amazing. If you disagree, I don't like you. Totally kidding, but I don't know how you can't like the looks of this knife. Next pro, which I actually thought was a con at first, the thickness of the handles. So they're pretty thin. If you can see the difference there, the Barebones handles are pretty thin compared to the Replicant. But what I've noticed is the thickness of these handles really makes this knife feel the way it does. I think if they were thicker, it wouldn't have that same balance and the same feel, and it's really hard to explain until you actually flip one. But the thinness combined with the length and the weight and the balance and everything, it makes this knife really feel unique. It doesn't feel like the Replicant or like the Alpha Beast. It's its own entity entirely. If you're in the market for, you know, a cheaper ranged knife that is still really, really, really high quality, and that's what BRS prides themselves in, the Barebones, I'm gonna say, is 100% your best option. So in all, I think the Barebones, more than anything, is a very unique product. It finally is something that fills this gap between a $100 knife and a $350+ knife. And so they have their really high-end knives, which are amazing, the Alpha Beast and the Replicant. I will never trade my Replicant or sell it for anything. And I don't think I'll sell or trade the Barebones either, at least for a long time, because I just think it's such an amazing product that they were able to keep the price so low and fill this gap and not really lose that BRS quality. And what they lost isn't severe. It's just a different feeling knife that I promise once you get used to, it's so much fun. It's a blast to flip. You will like this knife if you're in the market for it. Okay, that's it for the Barebones review. As always, if you have any suggestions for tricks, whatever you have suggestions for, leave it in the comments below or direct message us on Instagram at mgflipping. We appreciate you watching this video, and we appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video.